Let's create the first scenario where we start with an IAM user which has less privilege, and you and a hacker who possess the IAM user access keys and credentials can do privilege escalation by reviewing the policy versions. To create this first scenario, we will run cloudgoat.py and use the create option, and then we'll give the scenario name, which is IAM underscore prefs underscore by rollback. And once we will run it, it will dump this new IAM user credentials, which has low privilege, and it will also create this IAM user in our AWS account. Cloudgoat also stores this information in a text file, which is start.txt. So if you miss to copy from command from your terminal, you can always go back to this file and download these credentials again. As the next step, you will need to configure these credentials in a new profile. And for example, we have created a profile called Rhino and configure these credentials to access AWS CLI. And remember that this is low privilege user. So, and now we want to monitor what is the policies has been assigned to this user. To do that, we need the policy ARN. So we will use a command list attached user policies, and we'll give the username and the profile name. So it will dump us the policy name and policy ARN to attach to this user. To identify what are the versions of this policy, we will use another command to find the version IDs for this policy, and where we will supply the policy ARN. So we have used AWS list policy versions, and we use policy ARN, and we give this policy ARN, and we have noticed that we have got 5 versions of this policy, and where version v1 is the default one. So now we need to check each policy document to find what are the permissions of these versions has. So to do that, we will just run get AWS IAM get policy version, and there we need to give the version ID, and then we will keep giving the versions. So we are looking right now for v1, which has IAM get list and set default policy version, which are pretty much harmless. You can just view the resources with the help of v1. But remember that it also has set default policy version. That means this user can change its policy version, and that's the key part. Now let's look of the other policy versions, how they looks like. When we check the policy version v2, we can see that this version also has very restrictive permissions, which just allow, and on the action is only get, and also with some other conditions. And v3 version but when we look at the v3, we can see that it allow pretty much everything. So the action is every action is allowed on every resources, and effect is allowed. So if user can change to v3, he will be able to do everything as an admin can do. And v4 is also looks very restrictive. So it's just that the v3 which seems to have a problem, and definitely it's a security risk that we have discovered for this particular IAM user. So let's see what uh, can be done if and how we can change the policy version of this policy and how it will affect the IAM user privileges. So to do that, we will set the policy version. So we will use the AWS IAM set default policy version, and then we give the version. We give the v3 as our version ID because we want our policy to use the v3 version. In your environment it might be different version, so you need to check it out each and every policy document on which policy you want to switch. And once you will do it, you can check that you are able to create a new user. So we have learned that how easy it is to miss some configuration and leave our AWS environment vulnerable. So once you have finished this exercise, make sure to destroy the environment that Cloudgoat has created. So to do that, you just run the cloudgoat.py destroy and give the scenario name that has been created. So Cloudgoat will automatically delete every resources that it had created. So hope you guys have learned something today, and whenever you create any policy, even the first time, make sure you use the least privilege principle to avoid these kind of issues in your environment. And yeah, it's not simple to find out these issues, but with practice you can start doing penetration testing and auditing of your AWS environment. So if you like my channel, please subscribe it, and I will share more content. And if you want any specific scenario from Cloudgoat so that I should explain, please leave your comment in the comment box and I will try to cover them. Thank you very much. See you in the next episode. Bye.